5. Are we in a banking crisis? Recently, Congress Ron Paul of Texas reported on the international banking crisis. He called attention to the fact that the world debt is expanding steadily and rapidly. Third world and communist states owe Western nations and banks nearly $1 trillion. According to Congressman Paul, the debt must be liquidated, and this can be done in only two ways: by countries defaulting or by the debt being paid off with inflated dollars. The former approach requires the bankers to suffer the consequences of their actions. The latter methods forces the American people to bear the cost for bailing out the banks and the debtor countries. It would involve a massive intervention by the Federal Reserve and the destruction of our money through the continued depreciation of the US dollar. The mechanism is already in place for the further expansion of money and credit in order to sustain the system for a while longer. This means that long-term inflation will persist and get much worse. Congressman Ron Paul, The Banking Crisis in Freedom Reports 8, number 3, March 1983, 1. But this is not all. Other debts, bringing the worldwide debt total to an estimate of over $10 trillion, and the annual interest on that debt comes to over $1 trillion at the rate of an average 10%. This means that the world economy, as well as the world tax structures, have a major problem simply meeting interest payments, apart from any payment of principal. More and more nations are increasingly unable to pay their debts. If you have a savings account, the money loaned out to deadbeat nations may be your money, and their failure to pay can endanger your bank and your deposits. The evidence is clear that we do have a worldwide banking crisis. Behind that crisis stands the ugly fact of debt. Since World War II, men and nations have gone into long-term, heavy debts as though tomorrow would never come. Now, as the economy falters, the burden of debt grows heavier and more oppressive. The economic and banking crisis will not be solved by economic measures alone. We definitely do need a return to the gold standard and to sound banking practices. Both, however, presuppose a mentality opposed to long-term and ready debt. A debt-ridden people are not a self-reliant and free people. Debt is a form of slavery and, worst of all, a self-imposed slavery. Are we ready to be a free and responsible people? Being debt-free is an important aspect of freedom.